Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing. My email address is tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a model launched in 2019, which was Panerai's self-proclaimed year of the submersible. After a number of years of offering unisex watches, female-targeted watches, mid-sized watches, and soft pastel-toned dials, Panerai decided it was time to reconnect with its military heritage and its traditional male clientele. And this was the result, the Panerai Luminor Submersible BMG-Tech PAM00799. It is constructed of a material Panerai describes as bulk metal glass. So while it's made of metal, it is actually cooled in a fashion that prevents it from generating a traditional orderly crystalline metal molecular structure. It has a somewhat disorderly structure that is more akin to glass than metal. As a result, this alloy, which is a combination of primarily aluminum, titanium, and zirconium, as well as traces of copper and nickel, is resistant to magnetization, resistant to denting, resistant to scratching, resistant to corrosion in a way that even stainless steel is not. All of those things, on top of being decidedly lighter than steel in the hand. Now, the watch is 47 millimeters in diameter, it's 15 millimeters thick, it's 56.3 millimeters lug tip to lug tip, and it has a 26 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see the stance and the look is huge. But with Panerai, oversized has always been the look, so it doesn't need to look proportional, it just needs to sit right. So if your wrist is flat across the top and 16 centimeters circumference like mine, you can wear it comfortably. If you want it to look proportional, you're probably going to need a wrist of at least 18 centimeters circumference. Quick note, because it does have a carbon fiber bezel, as well as that BMG-Tech case, it wears quite a bit lighter on my wrist. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see it's rubber, and it is a sort of bellows-like strap that expands and contracts. It's got a lot of flexibility engineered in. It's made in Italy. It's a brand new Panerai factory vulcanized rubber strap. It's got the 70s style Panerai OP logo. Here we have a trapezoidal pin buckle to match the case. All of satin finish. You can see that this watch uses traditional Panerai screws and bars to hold strap. That's a nice secure way. We always felt as Panerai fans that the arrival of the spring bars heralded the decontenting of the model line, so we're always happy to see this old school system. And yes, the watch does come with a commemorative boxed set that includes a screwdriver for strap removal, as well as an accessory textile strap if you want to change the look or use it over a big thick diving suit. Now the case itself is all satin. This is the so-called 1950 style case profile that is closer to the historic 1950s Panerai 6152 combat watch. It's not the Alessandro Betterini case that defined Panerai in its early civilian days during the 1990s. And of course, for the modern era, the first of the so-called 1950 cases was the PAM127 of 2002, and this takes after that, albeit with the submersible rotating bezel that we first saw on the PAM25 in 1998. So we do have a wonderfully chunky bezel detent. I think in terms of sound and feel, this is as premium as it gets, certainly as brutally distinct, sharp to the ear and to the touch as any bezel I've experienced anywhere. Now, some folks would want 120 clicks, but really 60 is all you need, and the feel, the sound, the quality of the bezel action makes up for any deficiency in increment. Now, let's take a quick look at how this bezel looms in the dark, because it's a dive watch, and a lot of folks are going to want to know how easy is it to see in the dark. Very easy. First, take a look. Big luminescent plots on this dial. We also have a differential lume for the minute hand as well as the bezel pearl, so you can quickly read them relative to each other. You can also see that the operation of the watch is still evident in the dark as the seconds hand is loomed, and that should be the case on every dive watch. I've also found that with dive watches, they're more useful than chronographs. They're easier to read. I rarely time intervals over an hour, and you don't have the big downstream service costs that come with chronographs. So this is the best of both worlds. The Carbotech material is actually cut from a solid autoclaved block of carbon fiber, so no two of these bezels are going to be exactly alike. We have the famous device protecting the crown, a crescent-shaped half moon of a crown guard that was designed originally to served the watches in the era when they were all manual wind. So continuously threading in and out the Rolex oyster crowns of the original Panerai dive watches was creating problems with the seals. And because they were manual wind, you would have to do this every single day, with the result that the seals degraded rapidly. Well, the solution was a cam-based system that would compress and decompress without ever actually running a threaded stem tube past the seal. So we have a toroidal seal, and then we just compress and decompress. And when we decompress, you can immediately wind it. You can activate the time zone jumper system, which, by the way, does not stop the watch. It allows you to jump time zones, east or west, even driving the date. You can pull the crown out all the way, activate hacking seconds. And one big refinement compared to the earlier Panerai watches, and I think the break point was 2007 for this feature, you can see there's a little bearing in the cam lobe itself that's called the runner that smooths out the action. The other thing is it prevents you from accidentally drowning your watches. This is kind of hard to miss, whereas a screw down crown that's out a few threads can often overlook even a careful owner. Overlooked and leading to involuntary drowning of your watch. So this system makes it harder to jump in the watch with your crown unlocked. Further, this system is easier to operate when your hands are wet, sweaty, or gloved, which makes it a lot more practical for actual sports use or diving. The dial is matte black with bright blue accents, and you can see it is one of the applique index dials from Panerai. Turning it all over, you could see the SLC, or the manned torpedo, the pig, that was used by Decima Flotilla commandos. They were early amphibious attack squads, pioneered in the 30s and deployed in World War II, and they would deploy this from a larger submersible craft, and from the submarine, this submersible would then presumably evade harbor defenses, lock its magnetic bomb to the bottom of a battleship, and these were famously used in the raid on Alexandria. And of course, Panerai instruments, in addition to watches, diving gauges as well as compasses, were also used on the raid on Alexandria. But that's what this is. This is the pig. This is the Italian frogmen of the World War II era. You can see this one is W. That means it's a 2020 model year. We have that ZR BMG right there. 300 meters, water resistance, and inside a Panerai caliber 9010 automatic winding with twin barrels. It has a 72-hour power reserve, beat sway at 4 hertz. It's robust with a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance, and for a nice even torque release so it doesn't surge when fully wound or slow down too much after 24 hours. It has twin barrels rather than one barrel, all of that pivoting on 31 joules. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.